The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Joseph Campbell. We all have fears. They whisper doubts, hold us back, and keep us from truly living. But what if we used fear as fuel for growth? This is the heart of any glow-up journey. Imagine stepping outside your comfort zone, embracing the unknown, and realizing you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. This is what awaits when we choose courage over comfort. The glow-up journey is personal. It looks different for everyone. For some, it might mean conquering social anxiety and building meaningful connections. For others, it might be about overcoming self-doubt and finally pursuing a long-held dream. No matter where you are on your journey, know this: you are not alone. We all have fears, insecurities, and moments of doubt. This journey is about embracing all parts of yourself, the light and the shadow. Growth happens when we challenge ourselves, push past our perceived limitations, and embrace the beauty of becoming. Fear. It's a word that can send shivers down our spines, make our hearts race, and leave us feeling paralyzed. At its core, fear is an instinct, a natural biological response to perceived threats. Imagine our ancestors facing down predators in the wild. Fear was a lifesaver, triggering the fight-or-flight response. Even today, this ancient mechanism remains hardwired into our DNA. A sudden loud noise, a near-miss accident, a looming deadline, all of these can trigger that familiar surge of fear. However, while fear can be a powerful protector, it can also hold us captive. Understanding the difference between rational and irrational fear is crucial on our glow-up journey. Rational fear serves a purpose. It keeps us safe. It's the feeling we get when we encounter a genuinely dangerous situation, like walking alone down a dark street at night. This type of fear is healthy and necessary. It keeps us alert, prompting us to take precautions and make wise decisions. Think of it like a smoke detector. Just as a smoke detector alerts us to the danger of fire, rational fear alerts us to potential threats. It's a signal to proceed with caution, to assess the situation, and to take appropriate action to protect ourselves. This type of fear is often temporary, subsiding once the threat has passed. It doesn't control our lives or prevent us from pursuing our goals. In fact, it can even motivate us to take action to create a safer, more secure environment for ourselves and those we love. But not all fear is created equal. Sometimes fear can morph into something irrational, holding us back from experiencing life to the fullest. Recognizing irrational fear is where the glow-up journey takes a turn inward. Irrational fear, unlike its rational counterpart, is not based on genuine threats. It's rooted in our thoughts, beliefs, and past experiences. It thrives on what-ifs and worst-case scenarios, often blowing things out of proportion and creating unnecessary anxiety and stress. Imagine wanting to pursue a new career path, but being crippled by the fear of failure. This fear, while very real, might not be based on any logical assessment of your abilities or the actual risks involved. Irrational fear can manifest in many forms: fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, fear of change. It can keep us stuck in our comfort zones, preventing us from taking risks and experiencing the fullness of life. Recognizing these irrational fears is the first step in breaking free from their grip.
The fear of failure, a familiar foe on the glow-up journey. It whispers doubts in our ears, paints vivid pictures of setbacks and disappointments, and makes us question if even starting is worth the potential heartbreak. This fear is often deeply rooted in our desire for validation, our longing to be seen as competent, successful, and worthy of praise. But here's the secret. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone. Every stumble, every setback, every failed attempt is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to refine our approach. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. Each time you got back on, you learned something new, adjusted your balance, and eventually you were gliding down the sidewalk.
The fear of judgment thrives in the spotlight of our own minds. It tells us that everyone is watching, scrutinizing our every move, waiting for us to stumble so they can point and whisper. This fear is often amplified in our hyper-connected world, where social media can feel like a relentless stage. But here's the liberating truth. Most people are far too caught up in their own lives, their own insecurities, and their own fears of judgment to be paying that much attention to us. The spotlight effect, as psychologists call it, is a trick of the mind, a cognitive bias that makes us believe we are being noticed and judged far more than we actually are. Choose to focus on your own journey, your own growth, and surround yourself with people who support you, uplift you, and encourage you to shine your unique light.
The fear of the unknown is perhaps the most primal fear of all. It keeps us tethered to our comfort zones, even when our hearts yearn for something more. We crave certainty, security, and a clear roadmap for the future. But the truth is, life is inherently uncertain. Change is inevitable, and the unknown is always just around the corner. This fear can manifest as resistance to new experiences, hesitation to embrace opportunities, and a reluctance to step outside the familiar routines and patterns that have become our safe havens. But here's the exhilarating part. The unknown is also where we discover, where we grow, where we find our true potential. Think of those moments in your life when you took a leap of faith, when you embraced the uncertainty, when you dared to venture beyond the familiar. The fear of the unknown will always be there, whispering its warnings, urging us to stay safe, to play it small. But we don't have to let it control us.
Imagine a life lived on the other side of fear. Not a life without fear, but a life where fear no longer holds you captive. This is the transformative power of facing your fears. It's about moving from a place of limitation to a place of liberation, unlocking the potential that lies dormant within you. When we avoid our fears, we give them power. We allow them to dictate our choices, to shrink our world, and to keep us from experiencing the fullness of life. But when we confront our fears, we take back our power. Think of your fears as boundaries, invisible lines drawn in the sand, limiting your exploration and growth. Each time you face a fear, you push back those boundaries, expanding your comfort zone and creating space for new possibilities to emerge. It's about recognizing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and unexpected twists and turns. It's inevitable that we will face difficulties, experience disappointments, and stumble along the way. But it's how we respond to these challenges that truly defines us. This is where resilience comes in, the ability to bounce back from adversity, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep moving forward with strength and determination. Facing your fears is like strength training for your mind and spirit. Each time you confront a fear, you develop a greater capacity to cope with stress, to navigate uncertainty, and to overcome obstacles. You learn that you are capable of handling whatever life throws your way, and you emerge from each challenge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. The more you face your fears, the more resilient you become. This resilience becomes a source of inner strength, a foundation upon which you can build a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Cultivating confidence, the courage to shine. Confidence is not something we are born with. It's something we cultivate through our actions, our choices, and our willingness to step outside our comfort zones. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate confidence is to face our fears head-on. Each time you confront a fear, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought possible. You break through self-imposed limitations, you silence those inner doubts, and you begin to step into a greater sense of self-belief. Every fear you face is a victory, a testament to your inner strength and your capacity for growth. This newfound confidence then spills over into all areas of your life. Identify and acknowledge, shining a light on your fears. The first step in overcoming any fear is to acknowledge its presence. Often we try to ignore our fears, to push them down and pretend they don't exist. But just like shadows lurking in the corners of our minds, they don't disappear. They fester and grow stronger in the darkness. Take a moment to reflect on the fears that are holding you back. What are you afraid of? What whispers of doubt keep you from pursuing your goals and living your life to the fullest? Write them down. Seeing those fears on paper, giving them a tangible form, can be a powerful step in taking away their power. Remember, there's no shame in feeling fear. It's a natural human emotion, and acknowledging its presence is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's about being honest with yourself, about recognizing the areas where you feel stuck or afraid, so you can begin to address them with clarity and compassion. Challenge and reframe, shifting your perspective. Once you've identified your fears, it's time to challenge their validity. Often our fears are based on distorted thoughts, irrational beliefs, and worst-case scenarios that are unlikely to come true. Ask yourself, is this fear based on facts or feelings? What evidence do I have to support this fear? What's the worst that could realistically happen? Challenging your fears is about putting them on trial, examining the evidence, and separating fact from fiction. Once you've challenged those negative thought patterns, it's time to reframe your perspective. Instead of focusing on what you're afraid of, shift your attention to what you want to achieve. Start with small, manageable steps that feel safe and achievable. Section 3. Take action and celebrate small steps, big victories. Here's the secret to overcoming fear action. It's not about waiting for the fear to disappear. It's about taking action in spite of the fear. Remember that analogy of strength training? Just like lifting weights builds muscle, facing your fears builds courage and resilience. Start small. Break down your goals into bite-sized steps that feel less daunting. If you're afraid of public speaking, start by practicing in front of a mirror, then with a trusted friend, then maybe join a local Toastmasters group. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. Celebrate those victories, acknowledge your progress, and give yourself credit for the courage it took to face your fears. Remember, this journey is not about perfection, it's about progress. And don't be afraid to ask for support. Talk to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or mentor. Sharing your fears with someone you trust can help to lessen their power and provide you with the encouragement and accountability you need to keep moving forward. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are people in your life who want to see you succeed, who believe in your potential, and who will support you every step of the way.
Remember how we talked about the fear of judgment? Yeah, that one used to be my constant companion. For years, I let it hold me back from pursuing my passion for writing. I had this dream of sharing my stories with the world, but fear would whisper doubts, telling me I wasn't good enough. I kept my writing hidden away in notebooks. The more I ignored my passion, the heavier my heart felt. It was like a tiny ember inside me slowly being extinguished. Then one day I stumbled upon a quote that changed everything. Those words struck a chord within me. I realized I was standing at the entrance of my own metaphorical cave, but something in me shifted that day. I decided I was tired of letting fear call the shots. I was ready to face the dragon and claim my treasure. I took a deep breath and shared my writing with a trusted friend. It was terrifying but also incredibly liberating. To my surprise, my friend loved it. She encouraged me to keep writing. That act of courage was a turning point. It made the fear more manageable. Vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was strength. It was the key to connection and authenticity. So I kept writing and sharing my work. There were rejections, but I kept going. Each time I faced my fear, it lost power over me. Slowly, something incredible happened. I connected with other writers and got published. My voice actually mattered. I'm grateful for the courage to be vulnerable. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it.
As we reach the end of our conversation today, remember this. Facing your fears is a journey, not a destination. There will be moments of doubt, setbacks, and times when the shadows seem to loom large. But never forget the incredible strength that lies within you. The power to overcome, to transform, to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. The glow-up journey is not about achieving some picture-perfect ideal, but about embracing the messy, beautiful, imperfect process of becoming. It's about acknowledging your fears, learning from them, and then taking that bold step forward, even when your knees are shaking. Celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Give yourself credit for the courage it takes to show up, to be vulnerable, to keep going even when it feels hard. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, support you, and believe in your dreams. The journey may not always be easy, but it will be worth it. Embrace the journey, embrace your fears, and most importantly, embrace your own unique, radiant glow up.